Greetings. Have your ticket? You don't have one? No problem, my friend. Here's the subscription button below. Come on in. Hey guys, how do I say this? Excuse me if I look a little tired these days. It's New England, it's cold, and none of us feel really, really good, okay? So, that being said, anyway, let's get on to the message here. You know, guys, if you've been following this channel, you know how strongly I feel about sex. Strong I feel about sex predators, human trafficking, molestation. You know, and all these crimes against the innocent. And just recently, you heard me do a video about the New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft. Now, if you're a Patriots fan, there comes a time where you need to separate, your fan, you being a fan fanatic. I don't know if that all makes sense, but you need to be able to separate being a fan from the individual, who owns the team. Because if it's a good person, it's a good person, and if it's not, then it's not. It's as simple, as that. I guess you could use the same format that the Catholic Church uses in many cases. I know it piss some people off, but they use that term. Well, it's just a few priests who had sex with little boys and girls, so therefore, I can stay in the church because I'm in the church for the purpose of religion, not for the priest. So I guess you can be a Patriots fan and not support Robert Kraft. I guess if that helps you. But I want to read something to you guys that came in this morning. Finally, someone other than, I won't say just myself, because I know some of you guys felt the way you didn't express it in the comments, but I assume you felt the same way I felt about Robert Kraft being in part of the sex trafficking ring down in Florida. And of course, everybody want to say, well, he wasn't really part of the ring. He just happened to be in there for sex. I want you to think about that. He's not a part of the sex trafficking ring. He was just in there for sex. Okay. But here's an article that came up on Boston News this morning. It said more than 13,000 people have signed an online petition asking Gillette to remove his name from the stadium in Foxborough where the New England Patriots play. The petition on Care to asks Proctor&Gamble, Gillette's parent company, to end ties with the Patriot organization after the owner, Robert Kraft, was charged with 2 counts of soliciting prostitution in Florida. Now, here's where it gets a little slick here. This show you how people play both sides to the middle. The charges came from a far-reaching, they definitely have that word here, far-reaching investigation into sex trafficking in the state. To be clear, the problem is not that Kraft sought out the service of a sex worker. The problem is that the women involved were clearly victims of sex trafficking. So now if the women were clearly victims of sex trafficking and he sought out sex with one of them, how is that not being a part of sex trafficking? Let me read what that says again. To be clear, the problem is not that Kraft sought out the services of a sex worker. This problem is that the women involved were clearly victims of sex trafficking. Now, I'm not even going to waste my time trying to explain that to you if you don't understand it. Okay? And then it goes on the fact that Kraft likely was unaware due to the conditions of the massage parlor and the language barrier between the clients and workers. This is a far cry from consensual sex work, the petition says. So now they're going to blame because the women didn't speak English, so Kraft's in there. So they can't tell him why they're in there since they don't speak the same language. Somehow Kraft doesn't know where he is. All right, you're in a massage parlor and you're about to have sex. Now somebody need to tell Robert Kraft, because I sure as hell know. You don't go to a massage parlor to have sex. You go to a massage parlor to get a what? Come on. You can do it. Come on, let it out. Come on. To get a massage. When you want to have sex, you go to a place where sex is being made available. So obviously he's in a sex trafficking ring because they covered it up by saying it's a sex parlor And there are victims in the article the article says clearly they were victims of sex trafficking. Okay? And it was not consensual. Of course, Robert Kraft is going to plead not guilty. Although they got him on camera having oral sex, I'm going to be nice, and they got him on camera having physical sex. Even got the guy on camera having an orgasm, guys. I hope your children are not listening to this video. They shouldn't be anyway. But anyway, 13,000 people have signed a petition to have Gillette, Proctor&Gamble, it's a parent company of Gillette. They want Proctor&Gamble to get Gillette off of that stadium because the owner of the stadium is a sex predator. Come on, we can call it what it is. We can call, Michael Jackson a sex predator and R. Kelly a sex predator. You know what I'm saying? Surely we can call Robert Kraft a sex predator, especially since the fact he was in there having sex with victims who were part of sex trafficking, right? That would make him a sex predator, for the record, okay? Women held by force, forced into sex, and he's in there participating in that activity. Now, the whole Gillette, just to give you a backstory on the whole Gillette deal, that goes back to the toxic masculinity. So I'm sure this is somehow tied into the Gillette commercial around how these toxic men, I shouldn't say copper color because they were talking about everybody. Just there's a little special group of so-called copper color, so-called black men who somehow, okay, I'll stop it. So anyway, 13,000, and I hope that number continues to grow. And I hope you're willing to voice your concern and your thoughts around this illicit behavior too, around Robert Kraft. And of course he's gonna get his attorneys to plead not guilty and all that stuff, and they'll probably let him off with a slap on the wrist. I'm sure he'll probably pay some small fine, and that's the end of it. But what's really sad? It's not the end of it for those victims. That's not the end of it for them. And until we start holding men like Robert Kraft and all the other thousands and millions of people participating in this illegal, vicious, predatory activity, it's going to go on. And these people will continue to be victimized and taken advantage of. But I will give thumbs up to Boston, got that right, News 10, for at least having the courage to post the article, even though you kind of did a little chicken way around it. You kind of, try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of deal. I see what you're up to, but at least you publicized it and it's out there. And the critical thinkers among us, they'll clearly understand, what I just read, and understand clearly that this man was a willing participant in this, and that we should no longer or can no longer tolerate, this $150 billion industry, where it's kidnapping women and children, little boys, little girls off the streets, disappearing, into the abyss forever for their perverted sexual desires. Thank you for listening, guys. Again, please don't be quiet, because one day could be someone you love, okay? If not you. DFG, Gideon's Flight. Bye now.